All right, let's just jump right in and completely demystify the wealth ladder. Today, we're going through this explainer that literally maps out the exact climb from absolute zero all the way up to the billionaire tier. It's an honestly fascinating journey, and by mapping it out like this, we get to see exactly what it takes to level up at every single stage of the game. So here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The wealth ladder explained. 2. Escaping crisis and debt. 3. Building your financial foundation. 4. Breaking into true wealth. And 5. Scaling to institutional wealth. Let's kick things off with section 1, the wealth ladder explained. Because before we actually start the climb, we really need to understand the fundamental rhythm of this journey. So, here is the absolutely crucial point. Every single rung on this ladder has a specific reality trap, like what it actually looks and feels like to be stuck there, and a definitive strategic move that's required to level up. Listen, you do not advance by accident here. You advance by executing the precise move for the exact rung you are currently standing on. Okay, let's move right into section 2, escaping crisis and debt. We are starting at the absolute bottom here, where the goal, well, it isn't wealth at all. It's just simple survival. At the homeless level, you are quite literally locked out of the financial system entirely. So you need a really strict, honestly boring playbook just to get back in. Step 1 is getting a government ID. Step 2, you enter a shelter just to secure a usable physical address, because that address unlocks Step 3, a free bank account like Chime or Cash App. Then you apply for SNAP and you hunt for any cash income or day labor. Your one and only goal here, just get back inside the system. Now, once you're inside, you hit the crisis level. Here, you've got some income, but the math just doesn't work. Every month ends in overdraft fees, and you're constantly playing this game of deciding which bill to skip. It is without a doubt the most stressful rung on the entire ladder. Your move here is pure triage. You're calling creditors to negotiate hardship programs and calling 211 for rental assistance. Your immediate, uncompromising target is securing a $500 buffer. Because think about it, that single number is the exact difference between a flat tire just being a bad day and that same flat tire turning into an eviction 2 months later. Now, shockingly, or maybe not so shockingly, 60% of adults are actually stuck on this next rung, paycheck to paycheck. Here, the bills do get covered, but your account hits zero right before payday. You aren't technically falling behind, but one emergency sends you right back to crisis mode. The fix here is strictly about structure, not income. Money is entering and leaving through the exact same door. So, your move is to automate an annoying-to-access savings account, automatically transfer $50 every Friday, and ruthlessly cut $100 recurring expense. The target? Building a $1,000 emergency fund to stop your whole life from collapsing the next time the car breaks down. But what happens when you finally get a little breathing room? Well, you enter the treading water rung. From the outside looking in, it looks like progress. You aren't stressed about rent anymore. But under the surface, a credit card balance or a massive car loan is quietly growing. Debt is basically subsidizing your lifestyle, just chewing through all your future paychecks. If you're here, the avalanche method is your exact surgical move. You list every single debt by interest rate, you completely forget your feelings, and you aggressively attack the highest rate first. You have to stop using credit, free up $200 to $500 a month, and just stop the hole from getting any deeper. All right, section 3, building your financial foundation. This is where we transition from just surviving to stabilizing. We're entering the middle tiers where we actually begin to build. So at the financially stable rung, you aren't staying up at 2 a.m. running numbers anymore. But here's the trap. Being stable is definitely not the same as building. Your money is just sitting there, paused in a checking account. You are not compounding. The move here is to pivot. Capture free employer matches, which, crazy enough, 1 in 4 employees still leave on the table, and automate your contributions into low-fee index funds like VTI. You want to target $2,000 a month and start tracking your net worth on a simple spreadsheet. And that brings us to the middle class. For a lot of people, this really looks like the finish line. But mathematically, financially, it's just the starting line. Simply existing here is a massive trap. You need 3 specific moves to guarantee compounding actually starts working for you. First, buy a home. Not because real estate magically always goes up, but because a mortgage acts as a forced savings mechanism, whereas rent is a pure expense. Second, push your income up 10 to 20% by job hopping, instead of just sitting around settling for a basic 3% annual raise. And third, routinely invest 15 to 20% of your income every single month. No excuses. As you climb into the upper middle class, meaning you're earning between $200,000 and $500,000, things look pretty amazing on paper. Nice car, great house. But the truth is, the comfort itself is the trap. You are still trading your time for money. If you stopped working today, your entire lifestyle would probably collapse in about 6 months. It's basically a well-paying leash. To break out of this, you've got to max out your $30,000 of tax-advantaged space, so your 401k, Roth IRA, and HSA, and start building independent income. Think a rental property or a small business, something that doesn't require you sitting in a chair for 8 hours a day. Okay, Section 4, breaking into true wealth. This is where we transition from just being high earners to becoming actual scaling wealth builders. Welcome to the mass affluent tier. We're talking $500,000 to $1 million in net worth. This is the breaking point where people either break through or they stall out for literally 20 years. To cross over into the millionaire tier, you have got to avoid the ultimate mass affluent trap, which is lifestyle inflation. The very second you start upgrading to a bigger house or taking fancier vacations, you reset your compounding clock. Don't do it. Instead, your move is to take one income stream and scale it into $5,000 to $10,000 a month passively. That's what pushes you past that $1 million liquid target. Now, reaching the millionaire rung, which is where about 22 million Americans currently sit, totally changes the dynamic. Your money actually starts doing the heavy lifting. But to truly scale up and reach that $20,000 a month in passive income to cover your lifestyle, millionaires have to diversify across 3 very specific asset classes: real estate, equities, and business equity. The problem is, most people get stuck in just one of these and completely miss out on the massive multiplier effect. When you finally hit multimillionaire status, somewhere between $5 and $30 million, the paycheck from your job is absolutely no longer the reason you work. The whole game changes. You are not just saving anymore, you are allocating capital at scale. Passive income alone just won't get you to the next level. You need equity in scalable businesses that run without you. Plus, you start getting access to deals the general public literally never sees. Private equity, angel investing, deals that require $250,000 to $1 million minimums. Your biggest risk at this stage, it isn't losing money, it's losing momentum. All right, let's move to our final phase, Section 5, scaling to institutional wealth. Let's see exactly how money operates at the absolute peak of the ladder. At the ultra-high net worth level, which is $30 million to $100 million, money actually stops behaving like money and starts behaving like a tool. You don't just hold assets anymore, you build an institution. The necessary move here is setting up a family office, a dedicated team handling your investments, taxes, and deal flow. But listen to this, your biggest lever at this tier isn't even your investment returns, it's your network. The deals that compound wealth at this level are not listed publicly. They come from exclusive access, handed to you by other people who are already inside the room. Then we reach the centimillionaire rung, $100 million to just under $1 billion. The gap between $100 million and $1 billion is mathematically the hardest jump on the entire ladder. It's 10 times harder than the jump right before it. Because human lifespans simply aren't long enough for standard 10% market returns to bridge that massive math gap, you have to completely flip your strategy. Centimillionaires must completely abandon the diversification that got them there in the first place and instead place highly concentrated, massive 100x equity bets. We're talking about a tech company going public or a private business selling for 10 figures. And finally, we reach the billionaire rung. There are only about 2,800 people on Earth at this level. Nobody budgets their way here. Nobody climbs rung by rung to get here. The standard playbook completely ends. To be a billionaire, it happens in one of 3 specific ways. You built a category-dominating company like Amazon or Tesla. You owned early equity in something that just exploded, like being an early Google employee. Or, frankly, you inherited it from your family. The game itself has fundamentally changed. So we've basically decoded the mechanics of wealth from absolute zero all the way to $1 billion. As you've seen, every single level has a trap, and every level demands a completely different move. So knowing everything we've just explored about what it takes to break out, I want to leave you with this critical question to challenge your own journey. Based on the unwritten rules of the ladder, what exact rung are you on right now? And more importantly, what is your very next move going to be today?